You had the opportunity to take Houston.
Yeah.
But you chose Shreveport.
Yeah. And Houston didn't have the same, they embraced me good. Like I got out there, they showed me a lot of love.
Mm-hmm.
But Shreveport had the infrastructure already here. Like even the tax.
50 Cent just clapped back at J Prince after talk spread that Prince tried forcing him out of Houston. And this time, 50 isn't holding back. He's calling out the shady plays, the quiet extortion talk, and the behind-the-scenes pressure aimed at his business. Reports suggest J Prince has been turning up the heat, even sending people to interfere with 50's money. But if you know 50, you know this is exactly the kind of smoke he runs toward. He's already on Instagram roasting J Prince and daring him to step up if he really wants that face-to-face. The wildest part? Rumors claim 50 has receipts that could expose J Prince's entire setup. That's the kind of storm Prince may not want to deal with. Still, nobody denies J Prince's grip on Houston, his network, his reach, his influence. The man built an empire many won't even test, which means if 50 really wants war, he's got to play sharp, because this isn't minor drama. This is heavyweight, two major forces, both with reputations at stake, colliding head-on is bound to be explosive. And truthfully, this tension isn't new. 50 Cent has been pressing J Prince for years, and their issues always carried a dangerous edge. 50 made it clear long ago that he's not with Prince's checking-in system, while Prince crowns himself the king of Houston. For the most part, the beef stayed long distance, 50 running New York, Prince ruling Houston. But the second their paths cross in person, sparks fly. And right now, it feels like that collision is coming soon. Everything changed when 50 Cent decided to plant his flag directly in J Prince's backyard by moving his whole operation to Houston. He didn't just buy property, he shifted his entire business straight into Prince's zone. He first revealed the move with a slick tweet. "I love New York, but I live in Houston now. I'll explain later." And that later came with layers. One reason, money. 50 was tired of losing cash in New York, complaining about sky-high taxes that took more than 60%. He made it clear Uncle Sam was cutting too deep into his earnings, and Houston looked like the perfect escape. But taxes weren't the full story. 50 had already been watching Houston's thriving rap scene, the trap energy, and the hip-hop culture that birthed legends. As a businessman driven by entertainment and culture, he saw Houston as the next major gold mine. And then there's the liquor game. With Branson Cognac and Le Chemin du Roi Champagne, 50 had already been appearing in Houston liquor stores, promoting bottles and connecting with the local market. Many believed he wasn't just testing waters, he was laying foundations and securing a booming customer base right there in H-Town. But J Prince didn't see it as simple business. He saw it as disrespect. To him, 50 wasn't only chasing money or culture, he was invading Prince's turf, stepping into territory where his empire was built. That didn't just bother him, it sparked tension across the whole city. Allegedly, J Prince's first move was demanding 50 Cent check-in. Reports say he sent his crew to apply pressure, basically insisting 50 pay up just to move freely in Houston. But 50 refused. He made it clear he had his own security and wouldn't let anyone extort him under the cover of a check-in. That pushback, it only made J Prince angrier.
But he didn't just come here to live. He has been helping out on so many causes in this city. And especially, he has been in our high schools, turning our high school students into entrepreneurs with his Unity Camp program. I've seen him firsthand. This city has been elevated because of his presence. And so today we have the honor of saying to him, he's our 2022 Grand Marshal. Give it up to Curtis 50 Jackson. Now before I call on him to speak, let me present you first a key to the city of Houston. Anywhere you go, 550 buildings, use the key, the door will swing wide open.
Word around town was that Prince tried to set up a no-fly zone for 50, meaning no one in Houston was supposed to work with him. But once again, it didn't stick. 50 wasn't playing along, and he definitely wasn't in hiding. He stayed visible, running his businesses, making moves, and even creating opportunities for locals. That's the ironic part. While Prince allegedly pushed for control, 50 was focused on building. He even had plans to invest $20 million into a new G-Unit film studio right in Houston. But as tensions grew, 50 scrapped the idea and shifted the entire project to Shreveport, Louisiana. That was a serious loss for Houston and clear proof that this conflict was costing the city real money. Even so, 50's influence didn't fade. In 2022, just a year after relocating, Mayor Sylvester Turner gave him one of the city's highest honors, a key to Houston and his very own 50-cent day during the Thanksgiving parade. The mayor called him a philanthropist, an artist, and a businessman who consistently gave back, especially by helping high school students launch entrepreneurial ventures. Houston's top officials celebrated him, while at the same time, the city's most feared figure allegedly wanted him gone. Through the Unity program, the mayor officially stamped November 24th as 50-cent day, telling him directly that Houston would always be a second home. The crowd's reaction was electric, cheering like he'd been part of the city for years. 50 embraced the moment in his speech, grateful as Houston welcomed him like family. But while 50 was being recognized in front of the entire city, word is, Prince wasn't happy about it. Some say he was furious, because suddenly, 50 was being treated as the new power figure on his turf. Think about that. Prince spent decades building his reputation in Houston, only to watch the city's biggest honor handed to someone from outside. And the facts explain why. 50 earned his recognition by investing in the community, while Prince kept being framed as an enforcer. Since arriving in Houston, 50 put real money into improving lives, backing programs through his G-Unit Foundation. He launched the Unity Business Lab, giving high school students the chance to build their own businesses. That's a big move. On top of that, 50 worked his way straight into Houston's sports and entertainment world. His Sire Spirits brand cut deals with the Rockets, Astros, and Texans. He even put together the first Houston Tycoon Comedy and Music Festival in 2022. Then came the partnership with the Rockets, where 50 helped hand out 1,000 free turkeys for Thanksgiving. And he kept pushing forward. In 2023, he donated nearly $850,000 worth of toys, helping the citywide club hit its target of 100,000 gifts for local children. By 2024, he raised another $500,000 for the Houston Children's Charity, even auctioning off oversized bottles of his champagne line to bring in more funds. Moves like these elevated 50 from just another rapper in town to a genuine power figure, celebrated openly while his rivals were left in the background, while 50 kept giving back, building influence, and being treated like Houston royalty. J Prince's image was slipping. The man once seen as untouchable was now being compared to a street hustler, while 50 earned recognition as a philanthropist, businessman, and community leader. That shift was hard to ignore because, in Houston's eyes, 50 wasn't just passing through, he was taking control. Behind the scenes, whispers suggested Prince felt slighted by the way the city welcomed 50 with open arms. He wasn't used to sharing the spotlight, and now it looked like he was being pushed aside in his own territory. The bigger 50's presence became, the more it chipped away at the long-standing idea that Prince was the sole power in Houston. And 50 understood exactly what he was doing. Every partnership, every donation, every headline-making event wasn't just about business. It was calculated. He was building networks, forging relationships, and placing himself in circles Prince couldn't keep him out of. That's why many believe this conflict was bigger than personal differences. It was a struggle for influence. Who really ran Houston? The established figure or the rising force? 50 played the long game, while Prince watched his position tighten bit by bit. From the mayor praising 50 on stage, to corporations tying themselves to his liquor brand, to thousands of families benefiting from his giveaways, the city noticed it all. And when the streets notice, they start talking. At that point, the situation wasn't just rapper versus mogul, it became about control of the city itself. And when two powerful men fight over the same ground, the ending is rarely peaceful. As the spotlight kept shifting toward 50, Prince wasn't just observing, he was reportedly furious. People close to the situation claimed he began sending quiet reminders, making it clear that checking in was still expected in Houston. But 50 refused to follow those rules. Surrounded by his own heavy security, he made it clear he didn't need anyone's approval to operate. That alone pushed the tension higher. Insiders say Prince tried to apply pressure behind the scenes, attempting to block 50's business moves. But every time he did, 50 doubled down. He stayed visible, in the clubs, in the stadiums, in corporate offices, mixing with Houston's elite and carrying himself like the city's new leader. And what made things worse? 50 wasn't alone. He was building allies inside Houston. Politicians, athletes, promoters, and business executives started backing him. To them, 50 represented opportunity, not a threat. The more Prince resisted, the more he came across as the old guard holding back progress, while 50 looked like the figure driving the city forward. that narrative was dangerous. It turned into a battle of images, Prince as the gatekeeper versus 50 Cent as the outsider who refused to fall in line. And when pride, money, and influence collide, the streets don't stay quiet. They choose sides. And once sides are chosen, things can escalate quickly. By then, the whispers had grown louder. The talk on the streets was that face-to-face encounters between 50 and Prince were inevitable. Rumors suggested Houston wasn't big enough for both of them, and eventually, their paths would cross. People claimed there had already been close calls. Nights when 50 showed up at a venue where Prince's people were either already inside or pulling up soon after. But instead of leaving, 50 made sure to stand his ground. He even posted on Instagram mocking the idea that he was dodging anyone, proving he wasn't intimidated. That boldness sent shockwaves through the city because no one had ever challenged Prince so directly. Meanwhile, those close to Prince allegedly made it known that the disrespect wouldn't last forever. Behind closed doors, the focus wasn't on business anymore. It had turned into a matter of principle.
God darn it, 50 Cent, get out here. Come on. You are. Woo!
If I was your best friend, I want you out.
I know all the time I've spent with him, we've had some great times. He even tried to tell me some things one night.
I gotta hang out with the people that can buy this stuff from me.
$110, get 125, get 125, get 125.
I think Johnny might be on.
In Houston, respect is everything. Once that gets challenged, the tension shifts from silence to an open battlefield. But here's the surprising part. The streets started splitting. Some stood with Prince, loyal to the empire he built. Others backed 50, inspired by his work in the community and refusal to bow down. It was no longer just mogul against mogul. It became a conflict where the entire city felt involved. And when a city divides between two power figures, the risk turns dangerous. Because one wrong move can make everything explode. When two giants move in the same city, it's not just the streets watching. Federal eyes start paying attention too. And that's exactly what insiders said happened once the tension between 50 Cent and J Prince became public. Suddenly, talk of federal interest started spreading. When a business mogul moving millions is tied to influence and controversy, law enforcement is bound to take notice. Some pointed out that Prince's long history with street politics made Houston look like a hotspot. Add 50 Cent stepping in with his empire, liquor brands, entertainment ventures, and high-profile connections, and it brought the type of attention no mogul wants. Reports suggested certain agencies were quietly collecting details, checking if this growing rivalry could escalate beyond music and money. And here's the reality. Both men carried reputations that naturally drew heat. 50 was outspoken, unafraid to call out names, while Prince was seen as the man controlling who could and couldn't move in Houston. That alone made the situation look less like regular competition and more like a fight for dominance, something law enforcement couldn't ignore. So while fans argued over who was winning, insiders claimed the real question was, who was being watched the closest? Because once the feds enter, everything changes. The game shifts from clout to survival. As the feud got louder, it wasn't just the streets or the feds keeping track. The entire hip-hop industry began feeling the ripple effect. Rappers, promoters, and even business executives in Houston and beyond suddenly found themselves forced to pick a side.
We need to change the word for the youngsters. The checking in part, is they seem to get hung up on that word checking in.
Yeah.
So if we could diversify that word and bring it up to a 2021 thing.
Right. What's the word, OG? What's the word?
Maybe we may want to tell them they need.
That's risky ground, because in this industry, the wrong alliance can cost you opportunities, safety, and even your reputation. Rumors began spreading that some artists avoided working with 50 in Houston, fearing it might upset Prince. Others, however, moved closer to 50, seeing him as the rising powerhouse with the ability to open doors and sign big checks. This was no longer just a personal dispute. Invisible lines were forming across the industry, and everyone understood that crossing them could have consequences. Promoters felt the weight too. Booking concerts, festivals, or appearances became a gamble depending on who you sided with. Choosing 50 could upset Prince's camp, Leaning toward Prince risked losing the exposure and connections 50's empire brought with his brands, his money, and his entertainment reach. Nobody wanted to get caught in the middle, yet eventually everyone was. And it didn't stop there. The fans started choosing sides as well. Some chanted for Prince, hailing him as Houston's original boss. Others supported 50, praising his community efforts and his refusal to fold under pressure. What began as a mogul clash was now dividing circles, events, and even the culture itself. In this game, once the lines are drawn, all it takes is one spark to set the whole scene on fire. By this point, it wasn't just beef anymore. It had become a silent war for Houston's throne. On one side stood J Prince, the established gatekeeper, the man everyone was expected to check in with. On the other was 50 Cent, a global star with wealth, influence, and the kind of confidence that made him command any room he entered. Houston turned into the battleground where two legacies collided head-on. The striking part, neither was willing to back down. Prince carried decades of respect, fear, and loyalty in the city. His presence alone made people hesitate before making moves. But 50 was bold, calculated, and relentless. He didn't just arrive. He built foundations, secured deals, and rooted himself in the community. Every move declared, "I'm not a visitor. I'm here to stay."
Be throwing rocks and hiding their hand, right? They be throwing rocks and hiding their hand. And I don't like them kind of individuals.
Insiders claimed this created an invisible line running straight through Houston. The streets, the industry, even politicians felt it. You were either connected to Prince's circle or stepping into 50's. The two forces never faced off in a public clash, but the tension was thick enough to feel everywhere. And unlike most hip-hop rivalries that eventually fade, this one didn't. Because it wasn't about records or rap disses anymore, it was about control. Who runs the city? Who holds the influence? Who gets crowned king of Houston in the eyes of both the people and the power players? That's what made it more than gossip. It was history unfolding in real time. The Champagne Gala later brought in over $6 million, a record-breaking night that cemented 50 Cent's presence in Houston as bigger than ever. His impact was undeniable, and the city continued to show him love. But then there's J Prince and his Mob Ties crew, and that's where things take a darker turn. Instead of being known for creating opportunities, Prince built his reputation through fear. He positioned himself as Houston's king and called himself a protector of artists coming into the city. On the surface, it sounded noble, keeping outsiders safe from being robbed. But dig deeper, and it looked more like a clever cover for extortion. Here's how insiders described it. Artists couldn't just arrive in Houston and do business. They were expected to check in first, which in practice meant paying Prince and his circle to move without problems. Some framed it as respect, but many saw it for what it was: money to avoid conflict. That's the system Prince established, and it's the same system 50 Cent refused to accept. And that refusal set the stage for the most explosive power struggle Houston had ever seen.